Ladies and gentlemen, nerds and neckbeards, welcome to another episode of Westworld. No, that's not it. Westeros. Wheneverly.
Dave, we're so out of sorts, we don't even know what our damn podcast is.
Oh my god, this episode, you know what? Let's just get right into the drink.
I have to say that it was a uniter in the fandom with its worldwide revile. Like, this episode was, I think, scraping the bottom of the poop barrel. But what are we drinking? You came up with a clever name for our drink today. So
we are drinking Massacre Mules.
It's so easy for you to say. We're drinking Massacre Mules because there was a giant massacre and also a dragon died. Man, those things are falling like flies.
Actually, the reason why I named it was because this episode, D&D just massacred the story in this episode.
Oh, it's so bad. They really did. Oh, and I spent last week sort of drinking the sour tears of fanboys because I loved, or was it last week, the dark episode? Yeah, the Battle at Winterfell.
Yeah.
God, it feels like a lifetime after watching this week's episode.
I know, right?
And then this week I really had empathy. Like I actually, David, feel bad for the real fans that love this show so much, and this is how it's ending. This is what they get. Like, that's bad. So what is your drink? Like, what?
My drink is it's a Moscow Mule, which means it's ginger beer, some Titos, some lime, some fresh squeezed lime.
Nice.
And then to give it a little bit of bloodness, I did a splash of grenadine on top.
Oh, nice. A little grenadine splash is always called for.
Yeah, you know.
I am drinking...
No blue curacao, though.
I noticed that. Well, because blue curacao is associated with happiness, right? And
That's right.
You know, it's sort of our celebration drink, and there's not a lot to celebrate here. Mine is more of an Irish Massacre Mule because I'm not a fan of ginger beer. So
you put what, Bailey's in it?
No, because the first ingredient is the juice and pulp.
Can you make that sound effect again, please? No, that's amazing. It's so good.
Oh, and check this out: all men must drink. How's my sound
Oh
effect
my god, your
better?
Sound effects are so good. So wait, you're double fisting your mule with wine?
Well, there are two glasses of drinks here, but one of them is Kirsten's. I just needed a sound effect, so I scooped up her glass of wine for the podcast.
So what is she doing while you stole her wine?
We have more than one glass in the house, and she has been forbidden from coming into the recording studio. So where there's a will, there's a way, David.
Oh, okay. I like it.
Irish Massacre is the juice and pulp of 2 limes. Irish whiskey instead of vodka. I use the Kirkland brand, the Costco stuff, and it's actually decent. It's
of the Costco brand vodka?
Just whiskey.
Oh, whiskey?
Yeah, just whiskey, because I wasn't going to use the good stuff. I wasn't going to go and use like a good bourbon since I'm just trying to make this like bitter and sour. And to that end, I added a dash of Woodford Reserve Sorghum and Sassafras bitters. Shake it up over ice and pour it over a whiskey ball.
I think you tried to use that on me once when we made like hot toddies or something. It was like disgusting.
I got
totally
it for Christmas,
gross.
and the thing is, they're like these little eyedropper folds. Like
hot drinks. Gross.
And you don't drink coffee at all, do you? And if you drink tea, what do you drink? Like iced tea?
Chai. Iced chai lattes with some vanilla. I'm a basic white girl.
You really are, David.
Basically. I know. All I need is a pair of Uggs, some leggings, and a white t-shirt, and you know.
I love it, yes.
Done.
And to just like blast your Instagram with stuff about fall and pumpkin spice.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So
do it for the gram.
Yeah, so that is my bitter of all drinks, and it's not even fun to be snarky about it. Like, this episode sucked, and it was like it sucked so hard.
My buddy was like, last episode was really bad. I was like, yeah, it was pretty bad. It had some good moments, and then he goes, after this episode, he goes, they killed the dragon. This episode's the worst.
It just gets worse. And I was like, I loved the last episode. But let's get into it. So we open with the big funeral pyres.
Yep.
Do you know what the first...
It's Jorah. Jorah's the first face we see. Right, but there's thousands of bodies on pyres.
We pan in, and you can see all the the wood stacks, and I'm like, yo, where did they get all this wood? Like, everyone is dead. So I understand that the fun. It's just a show, Tana. Like, don't get upset about stupid shit. Like, where did they get a forest fucking full of wood to make these 3-tier high, gigantic pyres when everybody is dead? Like, everybody but the 5 main characters is slaughtered. So who's chopping all that wood, my dudes?
Obviously they took it apart from all those things that they filled with dragon glass. I mean, all those crosses and
which were already burnt because they were in the trenches. But you can't think about stuff like this, Dave. People can teleport somehow. 2 flying
also,
dragons.
Where did the trenches go?
Yeah, like, the trenches are just filled in. Yep.
When they panned up.
Exactly.
Speaking of issues with this episode and mistakes and things that don't make any sense.
Yes, what are we drinking our drinks out of? Not out of rocks glasses, certainly. We're drinking them out of
Starbucks cups. Absolutely.
Starbucks cups. Oh, in case you don't have the internet and might have missed this tidbit, for real, 100%. There is a Starbucks to-go cup sitting next to Daenerys Targaryen behind Jon Snow during the opening, like, the revelry night of drinking. It's on the table.
So I saw it on the internet. Did you go back and watch the episode to double check frame by frame that someone didn't just like Photoshop that shit in there?
No, because my Twitter feed is so filled with Game of Thrones people that somebody videotaped their own television doing it. So very low quality video of their own television showing that scene over and over again. And second reason, usually I do double check and do my own work. I don't want to watch this episode again. Like, I don't, right? Like, so that was good enough for me.
I feel you. I was so disconnected when I was watching this episode. I don't know what it was. I just, besides the fact that, like, I just felt like shit was not going the way it should be. And then just...
Now, do you think it was bad writing? Do you think it was maybe for you a letdown with the way that it ended last week? Because you didn't find it as satisfying as I did that Arya gets to kill the Night King.
So I was cool with that. Like, I didn't have any issues with Arya killing the Night King. I thought that was fine. Yep. I mean, they didn't do anything with it this episode except, like, they're like, Arya, the hero of Winterfell.
Yes,
and then it's like, okay, nothing. Like...
8,000 years. It's been between 10 and 8,000 years that this has been. Like, this is the second long night, and it doesn't even get a mention. Like, it's just... Maybe
I'm less satisfied because in this episode and last episode, I wanted to know more about the story. Like, have a fucking scene where, like, Bran and fucking... John and Sam are talking about the history of the fucking White Walkers or like, like the children of the forest and how they were created. And we have tidbits of information, but it's like, give me something to really close the loop on this, right?
Yeah.
Have fucking people sweeping up bones in the fucking courtyard or,
something like give me some kind of lore.
Yeah.
You've spent all this time working in, the cave paintings and like all the symbols and stuff. Like, just give me a brief moment with Sam and some maester or Sam and somebody talking about which bones are Crasta's children, right? Is that a thing? Like, you could at least touch on it and be like, oh, well, something like anything. Like, find a way to give me some of the lore. I don't need you to tell me that the Night King is a fully rounded, like there's Thanos character, right? Where he has an ethos that is more than just the long night that never ends. I'm fine with a guy that's just like the long night that doesn't end, right? Like, that can be his motivation for me. But, like, there's been all this stuff, all of this other history. You're exactly right. Use Bran to do any of this.
What about the wall? Like, tell us if you're going to rebuild the wall or if you're just going to leave it or the magic. Yeah, exactly. Like, I just want to know. And maybe this is a result of the books not being written.
Yeah, so they don't know the answers.
So I mean, it's partially that they don't know the answers, but it's also that, like, the book, the show itself never really answered everything, right? It never gave you as much detail as the book. And so knowing the backstory of the majority of the TV show having read the books, you're kind of like, okay, yeah, I'm watching this, but I know the other stuff because I read the books. And now you don't get that other stuff because you're just watching the show. But while I am saying that, we've had 2 seasons of like new material essentially.
Yep.
And I don't think I've ever felt this dissatisfied.
It was just they burn everybody. Things. So they burn everybody with their magical
also,
huge
why the
boxes.
fuck are they burning them? They killed the Night King. They're not fucking coming back as whites anymore.
Exactly.
So that's one thing that I don't understand.
And I feel like
100%.
A part of me is like, okay, you know what? It's been 1 minute. Like we were one of my questions was, is there going to be a time jump? No, of course not, because it's the show. So like we don't care about broken ribs and sad people. Like we don't. So it's the next day. Magically, everyone's up on these perfectly built pyres that are hundreds of, like a forest as far as the eye can see of this stuff. And I get wanting to burn them after the long night just happened. Like, I get that, like, maybe just to be sure, everybody's got a little PTSD. Like, we're a little still fucked up. Let's just burn them because, right? Like, why not? Let's just do the thing.
I explained that away that way. And then also, like, okay, the Dothraki died, so they are typically burnt.
Yeah,
so that they can join the Great Sky. Yeah. But, like, at least give us a fucking line about it then. Like...
Well,
open the episode and go, how are we going to take, what are we going to do with all the bodies,
Yep.
Oh, the Dothraki should be burned so they can go to the sky, and the fucking Northmen should be buried in crypts, or whatever it is, you know what I mean?
I never give Jon Snow, like, Jon Snow is hard for me. What did you think of his opening talk? You were right. He's going to do a sort of like...
a sermon?
Shakespearean moment. He's going to have that, like... show us his acting chops moment where this is the guy. What did you think of his speech that he opens?
It felt very bland and dry to me. Like I just didn't even connect to it. Like,
really?
Again, I don't know.
As I'm watching
this episode is having a problem for me because I don't even remember what he said. Right? No, couldn't give you one quote.
Yeah.
Like usually I can remember things and things like resonate with me and quotes stick in my mind. But this whole episode, like the only thing I remember like really vividly is the scene with Missandei, because I mean that's really the only thing that I enjoyed in the whole episode.
You enjoyed the moment with Missandei? Oh, we're going to talk about that. I mean, I wasn't surprised by it, but I mean,
enjoy. I didn't get a boner. I wasn't like, no. Chop the head off, chop the head off. You know what I mean?
I know that was. I think I understand what you mean. I think that was the point that had the most like emotional. The stakes are high kind of impact. It does.
That was the only scene to me that really felt Game of Thrones. To me, like.
But I agree with you. I think that is a good way of putting it because, and it also felt Game of Thrones to me, but for the wrong reasons. Speaking of Game of Thrones for the wrong reasons, we go into that night of revelry and finally we get that moment between the Hound and Sansa. They are talking to one another and it's like, and they touch hands and they have this moment, and it would have worked if the writing wasn't fucking garbage. And he basically says, or she says to him, it's okay. I'm the most powerful woman in the North, one of the 3 most powerful women in the world because of all the brutalization and rape and torture I had to suffer. Yeah. It made me who I am. Like, that is the most men wrote this bullshit. Like, and it just sort of like set the tone. Like, at no point the Starbucks cup, the like rank stupidity. And I wondered, when I saw the writer, I should be more prepared for things like this. The guy that wrote and directed the night, when Brian gets knighted. And I'm blanking on his name, but he's really fucking good. And when I saw that it was directed by this guy, I was like, oh yes, this is going to be good. And
is the same director as last episode?
That was his last episode in the series. It's a guy named Nutter, and I was like, why do I have a bad feeling about this guy? And it was garbage. Like, the line by line writing was terrible, the careless mistakes, the just like sloppy bullshit. Maybe we can skip around a little bit to the big moments when they turn the corner and Dany's fleet is ambushed by the Iron Fleet with their magical scorpions. Like, what the fuck, man?
Magical? They're not magical.
They are because
scorpions.
Well, you're an engineer. They defy physics. So the extra heavy they would in order to be this penetrating, this girthy and penetrating, they would be heavier. And
now who's making the dick jokes, Tana?
And this magical scorpion that like can fire this 10-ton missile at a dragon just rises and rises and rises like it's made of fucking helium. It like, I feel like it was heat seeking at some point. They turned in midair and followed Drogo for a little while, like, or Drogon. Like, come on, man. It was terrible. It defied all logic. And they, like, I get that you have to eliminate some of the dragons because the dragons don't make sense. And okay, maybe it's a surprise attack, but all of those fucking boats, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, however many heavy fucking scorpions they have, fired. And then 2 seconds later, they were firing again. And that, my friend, is fucking impossible. A scorpion needs to be winched back. Clink, 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 clink. Those huge, heavy bolts would have had to have been loaded by half a dozen guys at least. As soon as that line goes off, ching, 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 Drogon, who was pissed that his brother had just died, and Dany should have just been able to burn that fleet into the ground. Like, they can't reload.
Yeah, why didn't she?
What? Because of the writing, right? Because she can't. Because needless, stupid, unbelievable imaginary tension that they have to create, that this is somehow a woman with 2 dragons is somehow not going to be able to defeat the pregnant lady and the pirate. Like, they have, like, so it's just goofy.
But so, no, I mean, I when I saw that scene, the first thing I thought of was, all right, there goes Euron's fleet, like, it's fucking over, right? And she doesn't burn them, and I said, okay,
they made it seem like
going on here.
Drogon couldn't burn them because, like, they shot, and then they shoot a second round again. I only saw it the one time, but I was like, obviously he flies in, or he circles around behind them and takes them from the rear. Anyway,
what I remember is he's flying directly at them.
Yep.
He could have fucking burned the shit out of them.
Because
Dany never says right. They fire at him. He kind of dodges.
Yep.
And then she fucking flies away. And my thought was, okay, she didn't say Dracarys because she didn't want to, she didn't command Drogon to flame them. But why?
They were too far away. Drogon couldn't have reached them. And there was that volley of arrows that came. And then the ones that killed Rhaegal.
Oh, that's how you put that? I kind of read that as, she doesn't want to kill innocent civilians. We need to show them that Cersei is...
Those boats were full of soldiers. That is not how I read that at all.
Okay, interesting.
I read that scene as Drogon and angry Daenerys couldn't touch them because of these scorpions, that the scorpions had some magical, like, force field around the ships, which even if you suspend your disbelief and they are light as a feather, helium, heat-seeking dragon missiles, they still will have to reload. Like, they have to do that at some point.
Yeah.
The ships can only have so much ammunition, and it can only rotate so much, right? Like, it's not going to be able to rotate 360 degrees. Do they have them on the backs of the ship? Like, Dany should be able to pick these ships off one by one, and there's no more fucking fleet. There's no reason for her not to do that. And then, like, the scorpions destroy Dany's fleet that's going down, and we get that tender moment between Missandei and Grey Worm, and they're holding hands, and then, like, he puts her in a boat and the ship blows up, and Cersei magically captures her and magically knows who she is, and magically has her as the one hostage, and magically has her on top of the wall. Like, there's so many fucking things that don't make sense.
Missandei did go, I think, to the dragon pit, so Cersei could know who she was.
Sure.
Okay.
There would have been hundreds of people, dozens of people in the water.
Dozens of Unsullied.
It's a
bunch
mess
of people.
Out there.
Yep.
Even the fleets
I agree
are
with
engaged.
All that. Yep.
Like, it is absurd to think that they would have that Missandei could have been captured, that they would have known, like, all of this stuff, and they're just like they're just glossing all over. So the dragon's gone in 2 seconds.
Have we ever seen cannons on ships?
No, there's
Game
no
of Thrones?
gunpowder.
No. Is there?
There's wildfire, but there's no
fire.
There's no explosive agents. There's no gunpowder.
Okay. Okay.
And so I just like...
I don't know why the only thing I thought of was like, where are the fucking cannons?
But this is like, it's so absurd. Like, I get that 1 round, 2 rounds, 3 rounds, 4 rounds. How many of those spikes can they possibly have on the ship? Right? Like, give me an absurd number.
With you. I'm with you
There's
on that
one. So like asking me to believe that Dany doesn't burn that fleet is a step too far. Believing that they can somehow damage them enough to collect prisoners. Okay. They somehow know that it's Missandei. Okay, like there's just, and that's only one of the terrible scenes. That's not even the scenes about how Sansa is saying, I am who I am because of all the violence and sexual assault and rape and abuse, which is okay. Like, it's not okay even a little bit, but the show so laser focuses on this stuff that then when you get the payoff between Jaime and Brienne, there's not, like, we don't get to see them as lovers at all. Like, there's a kiss and then they cut away. Like, you can't show any tenderness. You can't, like, show me awkwardness, right? Like, what do you think that...
Well, it was... I mean, they did show a little awkwardness. I mean, if you look at them, neither of them can admit really what's going on, right? You know, she walks away, he follows her, but they're still, like, back and forth bickering. They haven't, like... Neither of them have said, like, I love you, or, you know, let's do this, right? It's just this awkward, like... not admitting what we can do. And then the worst offense of all, he fucking says he's going back to Cersei.
Yes.
Like, what the fuck is that shit?
So
There's no fucking way that happens. And no fucking way.
And the whole thing, like, okay, so some people are like, you know, maybe it fits Jaime's character or something, but like, it's one terrible choice after another terrible, unbelievable choice. I get, so Jaime.
Also, Tormund would not just fucking give up, by the way.
Right?
Like again, that too. Like
the character. Like, it doesn't go in it, like, he didn't make a play at all. And then instead of making a play, he said something about what baby took a poop in my pants.
Yeah.
Who in the writer's room? I want to just be in the writer's room and look at all their faces and say, who wrote that fucking line? Who? And then throw a Starbucks cup at them and say, you're fucking fired. Like, get out. You don't, this is not, this, what is this? Who's this?
Yeah.
Like, why does this team get to write the third to
the
last
good Tormund
episode?
lines.
Like,
what happened to the last fucking 3 seasons of good Tormund lines, right?
This season
like,
alone.
Dick?
Even if you found
what
him
is Dick?
insipid and awful.
Oh, cock.
Like,
I like it.
He's fucking amazing.
Bet you do.
Oh,
yeah.
Where's the big woman? Like,
where's the big woman? Yeah.
There's a betrayal of all of these characters. Although I have to say, let's go to a high point. What for you was a high point of the show? What sticks out as a good thing?
Well, I guess I did like that Arya and the Hound are headed back to King's Landing to go kill people. Like that.
That's my one.
That's
too.
legit. Yeah. That's my I think highest point.
Give me that spin up. Give me that buddy comedy, right?
I mean, yeah, right. Like what a fucking spin off that would be. An assassin and her hound, like running around Westeros.
The hound and the Wolf Queen. The Wolf Queen and her hound.
That's right.
Something about
the
a
wolf pack.
The wolf pack. A wolf pack.
The wolf pack.
The Wolf Queen and her hound. A wolf pack. A Winterfell wolf pack. Oh, this, and just Nymeria doing some shit. Like, give me that. That was a really good moment. I don't like crowds, neither do I. Like, that was really good.
Yeah.
What about?
I've got unfinished business. So do I.
Yeah. Speaking of unfinished business, so Cersei has opened the gates of the Red Keep to all the people,
all the small people, small folk.
Yeah, and we have Arya coming to town, who knows how to take anybody's face and look like anyone else, and like can get in the Red Keep now through the open front door. So I guess that's a thing. Do you think we're gonna see the fan service Clegane Bowl?
I think we are.
Mm-hmm.
I think we absolutely are. I mean, I want to see it personally.
Yeah.
I think after all this build up, it's going to finish. I think it's going to finish the Hound story arc. However, I will say this: I don't think it's going to go in favor of the Hound.
I was going to say, how do you see this go? Like, does the Hound get to be triumphant, or did they kill each other? What do you think?
Here's my vision, right?
Does Sir Robert sit the Iron Throne?
Sir Robert Strong
King
sits the Iron Throne, king of the Seven Kingdoms.
Rotting away on there. You know what?
I think what happens is Arya and the Hound separate. The Hound goes hunting for Sir Robert.
Yep.
I think the Hound dies, but in doing so, Arya comes out and kills Cersei.
Okay.
And becomes the hero of Winterfell and the hero of the Seven Kingdoms by the same exact tactic, which is killing someone when they're trying to kill someone else.
So if I'm the writers, if I'm the atrocious, obvious dude bro writers, the fuckboys that are in charge of this show at this point, I don't think they're going to be able to resist having the two most powerful women in the Seven Kingdoms fight each other to the death. Like, I feel like
you think Cersei and Daenerys are just going to kill each other.
The worst way that this goes, like the time where I'm like watching, I'm like, oh yeah, this of course is going to be a cat fight between Daenerys and Cersei, and
so in that cat fight, do you see it going like they're fighting, blah blah blah, fucking Cersei kills Dany. Somehow, Drogon is still alive, is pissed, burns the shit out of Cersei, and then Jon Snow appears out of nowhere and rides Drogon to victory, like onto the Iron Throne.
Whatever happens, I think that Jon Snow, Mr. I don't want to be king, becomes the king. Can we just say that, like,
fucking
yes,
Tyrion and Varys, like, again, like what?
You are betraying every character in this show, my friends. Like, none of them are speaking or acting the way that they would. This is atrocious.
So, I mean, I think Varys would act this way, right? With the exception of that, like there's no way they would fucking talk about it together.
I don't understand show Varys. I don't understand show anything very much. I certainly don't get show Varys. Are we just taking it on faith that he is for the realms? Like,
for the realm.
It seems that's not book Varys' motivation even a fucking little bit. Not even one drop is that his motivation. So but George wrote that in the book. Like, Varys the character says that in the book, but it is a gross misinterpretation of the text, of the source text, to say that's the thing he cares about. Oh, in my opinion, in my very slanted, very opinionated opinion. But, and I've been wrong about a million things, and I can be wrong about a million more things. But, like, for me, it seems like they took this little nugget and they just, like, made his whole character around this. And he doesn't seem conniving. He doesn't seem like he's playing the Game of Thrones. He had a moment at some point, I think in this episode, he's following Dany after the Starbucks scene out of that room. And I expected an exchange between them. I expected Varys to do a little, like, whispering in the ear, or and we never even got that scene.
Playing the Littlefinger, right?
And there was none of that. It's just like they kind of, him and Tyrion.
Yeah, the only one who's playing Littlefinger right now is fucking Sansa.
Yes. And Varys and Tyrion, instead of having their machinations, having their, like, grand plans, they're just wringing their hands and, like, clutching their pearls and watching Dany do things they don't like, or watch Jon do things that they don't like. I don't know.
Yep.
And everybody wants it makes sense. Can you hear my dogs barking? They're going crazy.
Yeah, but it's okay.
Sorry, guys. Kirsten has now arrived home, and the dogs are going to lose their mind.
Wait, you mean she wasn't home when you stole her wine?
Yes, she was home when I stole it, and then she went to Costco so that she wouldn't
buy
be in
more
the house,
wine,
and so she wouldn't disturb my very important podcast.
I see.
Oh, my Irish mule, my Massacre Mule is quite limey and bitter, and I still feel bad. This is shitty for show fans. This is a shitty way to go out.
Yeah, I mean, so
just
I guess I guess they did the Game of Thrones thing, which is kill a bunch of people when people weren't expecting it. Like, I think people were like, oh, a bunch of people are going to die in the battle for Winterfell, right? And no one really died. I mean, besides a whole bunch of the small folk and the red shirts.
Can I tell you what bothers me about Missandei? Two things.
Please.
One, just on the surface, she is the only woman of color in the show, and they chopped her head off and so that we could watch her body fall. That's problematic.
That's a terrible reason, in my opinion, but okay.
And
all men and races and women are created equally, so it shouldn't matter that she's a woman of color.
That is true. However, not all men and women are represented equally on this show, which is okay. Or it is what it is, rather. So that's just one thing. The second thing is, and remember, I work in comic books for my life. A writer named Gail Simone wrote an article called Women in Refrigerators. You can Google it. And it talks about how the death of female characters, love interests specifically, in media is they are two-dimensional characters and exist only as fuel for the revenge arc of their lover or counterpart for men.
So you're saying that Grey Worm is going to have a revenge arc?
I think both in this. So it's slightly more modern, I suppose, but to my mind, Missandei got refrigerated. Like, she says Dracarys, but still gets killed. Dracarys, yep. There was no. I expected maybe there would be a dragon that comes out of the sky with fire. But
Drogon was parked in the back. You saw him just sitting there.
But she does say the word, and you have that moment of hope where she might be able to change what is her inevitable fate, right?
I didn't read that. I read it as she's telling Dany, like, it's too late for me, but you better burn this motherfucker to the ground.
I feel it.
That's how I read that.
That's a fair reading. Also, everybody was whispering on the walls, like Tyrion is whispering outside the fucking castle. And so Kirsten and I, as we're watching it, just had our hand up to our ear and we were like, what?
Yeah.
What? Like, that's how the conversation would have gone. Like, they're both whispering to each other, but you can't care about stuff like that.
Yeah, when he stood up there, I was expecting him to start screaming like, come on, you're pregnant, sister.
He kind of, he tries that, right? So the second thing about Missandei,
I'm trying to remember, Euron was standing right next to her, right? Obviously,
yes,
right?
He was, yeah.
And so when the imp says, when Tyrion says you're pregnant, my first initial thought is, why doesn't Euron say something to Cersei? Like,
he looks at her
how does
like,
he know?
What?
Yeah.
Is that not my
like, how
kid?
Does he? Yeah, how does he know, right?
But it seems like he gets the picture that she's preggo and it's not going to be his little princeling.
Yep.
Because he did give her that side eye. But the second thing about Missandei is that she has been refrigerated, if we can make that into a verb. She has been used as a two-dimensional, like, her female body has been decapitated as a needlessly, stupidly, ridiculously. The fact that she's even on that wall is ridiculous. But even if we get there, the act itself only furthers Dany's revenge arc, which I guess is a little bit more modern because Dany is the queen. And Grey Worm's revenge arc. And it's just hollow and it's old bullshit and it's lazy writing and it's needless and it takes one of the most powerful characters in my mind, or maybe not powerful, but one of my most favorite. She was, one step away from the queen. Like, she was in a position of power.
Yeah. And Davos definitely liked her.
Yeah, everyone liked her. She was amazing. So you take this incredible character and you do her dirty like this, like, it for no point to, and it's just so. And it's not like in comics, it's just the worst.
It's also not like it was out of character for Cersei or like a shock. Like, as soon as you realize that Cersei has Missandei, you're like, oh, Missandei's dead.
So
like,
it's kind of boring.
See that coming,
way, right?
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like, I almost would have been more shocked if Cersei was like, all right, you can go with them.
Yeah, she shows mercy. She shows leniency. She does something unexpected.
Something unexpected, right.
And instead of all the people...
I also would have been pissed if she fucking shot the arrows at Tyrion.
This is the other thing. The one thing that makes sense for Cersei's character in the books, I can't, again, speak with any authority on the character in the show, and they are very different. But show Cersei is going mad with the search for Tyrion Lannister. She is collecting bounties on heads, dwarves in the Seven Kingdoms and across the Narrow Sea.
Book Cersei
are being murdered and having their heads tarred and brought to her to try to get the reward that she wants. Like, she is hyper focused on killing this human being, and there he is right in front of her, and she has all the power. And it is absurd to me that she doesn't kill Tyrion. And she kill them both.
She gets word that it was Olenna Tyrell who killed her son. So that's one thing that Tyrion didn't do that she was blaming him for. And they met in the show. They met in the dragon pit, and she didn't kill him there when he walks into her chamber and says, I gotta try to convince my queen, my sister to come north, right?
Yep.
So in the show, they are at least explaining away her somewhat non-hatred, and maybe there's a little bit of compassion. Maybe there's a little bit of compassion there after Jaime leaves her.
Yeah.
Not a love interest, of course, but
her family. Maybe it's something about her value in the Lannister family, but it's not like she wants Tyrion to be an emblem of their house or something. But okay, this is the thing. Not. Like, every moment of this episode, this terrible fucking episode, makes me suspend my disbelief in more and more egregious ways, in ways that violate even the like base characterization of these characters, and then it doesn't give us the kind of catharsis and enjoyment that we would get out of seeing characters like Genry and Arya, or Jaime and Brienne, or Tormund and Brienne.
Wouldn't it have been better? Wouldn't it have been better if Brienne and Jaime fought again alongside each other, attacking Winterfell, and Jaime is the one that kills Cersei? Not this I'm going back to my sister thing. She's still Cersei.
What do you think about this idea? So on the internet, they're saying something like, it does make sense. So let's assume that Jaime and Brienne had a loving connection. We don't get to see it. We don't know how awkward or how sweet or any of the details. We don't get to see anything beyond a kiss.
Yeah, it's not a porno, Tana. All right, they're not going to show you
the show fucking
the
is,
P and the
but
V.
they can't show
the P
emotional
and the V,
connection.
Tana.
Like, so they can show as many sort of women as objects and men as objects as they want, but they can't show actual intimacy. We know that they can. They did it when Jaime knights Brienne. Like, we've had these moments, but they cut away. So, all right, they're making choices I wouldn't make, but that's fine. Like, and that fans want to see, but that's okay. That's okay.
Speaking of porn, I have to interject.
Yep.
Just real quick.
I have no idea what's going to come out of your mouth next. That's what she said. Go on.
Yeah. Podrick Payne drinking when he said, "You're still a virgin."
Yes, and then he leaves with two ladies. Also, the fucking virgin thing, like, that is so douchey.
Yeah,
I mean, it's just
so stupid.
Awkward.
I agree. Okay, anyway, get back to your point.
So, we
Jaime
don't see anything
going
with Jaime and Brienne. Oh, but Jaime has only ever been with Cersei Lannister. He's super handsome.
Correct.
And he's like the Thor of his world or whatever, but he's only ever been with one person, and that person is his sister. So, like, there's every reason to believe that he would be as shy and awkward and whatever, and maybe they're amazing or what, like, but he is just as awkward in this moment as Brienne is. They have that really good line about, "I've never slept with a knight before," and she's all, "I never have either." That's a good line.
Yep, that's a great line.
So the internet is saying that maybe it's believable that Jaime, after a night of actual connection, like sexual fulfillment, right, this, like, a loving partner or something, would get freaked the fuck out. Like, it's okay. Like, that fits his character, that he would bug out and that he would go and, like, try to leave and say,
but try to kill Cersei, or
and that he's, like, saying whatever. A lot of analogies were made between Arya throwing rocks at Nymeria, which happened in the show.
Yes.
And and Jaime throwing verbal rocks at Brienne to be like they both love each other, but he has to say these things. This is the internet saying this,
so that she won't. Okay.
So that she
won't I can read that. I can read that.
But it turns.
But how does it? The question is, how does it play out, though? I mean, we got 3 episodes left, or something.
We have 2 left. I think
2 left. Yeah, no, you're right. 2 left. How does that play out in 2 episodes?
Not well. This does not bode well for the rest of the season.
Not with this fucking writing.
This is why I'm drinking this Irish sour or whatever, because I feel bad for these fans. Like, I can be snarky all day and night, but I feel bad for these guys. Like, they could have it didn't have to be like this, Dave. These characters deserved more than this.
It's almost not even worth talking about the episode anymore, but we have to hit something.
Yep.
Something else.
What else?
Okay?
What else, David? Genry
yep.
totally becomes Stannis, Lord Baratheon of Storm's End.
Lord Gendry. Lord of Storm's End. And then Arya saying no to him.
Yes, was so perfect for her character and so sweet and sad.
Yeah.
I do wish they fooled around a little more, but this says more about me.
I wish that she had said something to him like, "I'm no lady, but I still want to be with you." Like, I mean,
yeah.
Give me something. Like, you don't have to be a lady and be married to Baratheon. You know what I mean? Like,
that's the thing. Like, we're still, I personally am still pulling for those two, like in my headcanon, she's going to just show up at Storm's End occasionally, like there
and fuck the shit out of the Lord of Storm's End.
Yes. And she can go in as like she can get into that castle and out of that castle just fine, but 9 months from now, is there going to be a baby that shows up on the doorstep of Storm's End?
No. Arya's not fucking pregnant.
I mean, you never know. Tana can dream that the Baratheon line and the Stark line would finally unite, with a baby.
The seed is strong. So
a winter storm, if you will. I just made that up right now. I'm sure that other people...
Pretty sure that's the name of a bowling ball.
Damn it. Is it white and blue?
It is blue. I don't think it says white in it, but...
Another high moment. Let's end on good notes.
Okay, good notes.
Dany totally still has a dragon, so that's a thing.
Dany and Jon kind of love each other still.
Can we just say that the number one, like, it is crazy to me that both Tyrion, that everybody in the universe is like, they can't get married, which is such fucking bullshit. Yes, of course, the answer to all the problems is they get married.
I know, like, I don't understand that either.
Foolish,
like,
David.
It's fucking get married.
It's as dumb as a dragon not burning the fleet one by one, just like fly around them. Like, it doesn't. You can't think about it too long, or it'll upset you. Says Tana to herself quietly every night.
Says Tana as we're talking way too long about this episode.
I know. So that's it, man. That's, there's foolishness here. I expected it not to wrap up perfectly, right? Like, the end of something you love is always it can be a little sticky. Oh my God.
Yeah.
But
yeah. I mean, typically when you're finished, it's pretty sticky.
I'm so
just saying there.
I can always rely on you, my friend. However, it didn't have to be terrible. Like, I can imagine a reality in which show lovers get the content that they want in a satisfying way, and this is just such an aberration. This is so needlessly terrible and horrible and.
Fucking Tormund going back north of the wall with the free folk.
We didn't even talk about how Jon doesn't even pet Ghost goodbye. He doesn't even floof him. He doesn't pet him one time. Ghost
Lauren said that as we were watching it.
Oh my God, how do you not pet your dog goodbye? What is the matter with you? Everything Jon touches turns to shit.
He's too busy replacing Ghost with a flying lizard boy. Mm-hmm.
Which also
who's dead now?
Yes, who crashes and then gets murdered. Like, Jon is poison. Jon is the fucking worst. I don't get why people are. He doesn't do anything for me. It's a me thing. He doesn't do it for me. I think everyone.
They're definitely turning Dany into the Mad Queen, though.
But needlessly, in the same way that they say and did needless, stupid shit.
Yep. Very easy. Jon and Dany get married. Okay,
that's
over.
It.
You have a king, you have a queen, you have the fucking Targaryens. They're
why
lovers.
Two Targaryens wouldn't marry each other. Yeah, bitches. Like, the entire seven kingdoms were united about Targaryens marrying Targaryens. So his true identity can come out, which it already will, because the secret. Did you see all the Twitter shit about Sansa when she first hears the secret? And it's just like people running or people shouting. And as soon as
I didn't see that one.
It's so great. So as soon as Sansa learns the secret of Jon's identity, she's, screaming it from the rooftops.
I mean, she is, though. That's literally what she does.
Yeah, I
love how Varys says some comment like, "How many people know? Oh, I think 8. Yeah. Well, hundreds will know, and then thousands will know now.
So this is not a secret. This is information.
This is information, yeah.
And the two most clever men, arguably, in all of the country, would not sit there and say, gee, I guess a Targaryen Stark and a Targaryen can't marry each other. It is obviously the best union. But doesn't Varys recommend it, and Tyrion goes like, oh, but Jon's more of a Stark. He'll never marry his aunt, or some stupid shit like that. Like, bullshit, they're in fucking love. Exactly. He loves her. There's all the precedent for it. They get to rule together. They can temper each other. They're like, do you see her ever listening to him? Yeah, bitch. Like, I do.
She did.
I do.
She fucking did.
She listens to him all the time.
Yeah, fuck.
And so you actually
I don't want to do it anymore.
You actually get a royal couple that can talk to each other, that love each other, that care about ruling their people. You've got Jon advocating for the North.
It would literally be the conciliator again.
That's
because he'd literally be consolidating the fucking seven kingdoms.
So he's got the small folk, she's got the claim. They reunite all of Westeros. Like, there of all the absurdities in this episode, the idea that they would not get married is, to me, the most absurd. More than not burning the fleet, more than the bullshit about, that night of drinking, more than Tormund going out by saying he shit his pants, or a baby shit in his pants. Like,
a baby shit in my pants, yep.
Violation of character after violation of character, the beheading of Missandei, the trite two-dimensional bullshit that we had to suffer of, all of that. The idea that these two people would not marry is just... At this point, insane. Buddy, it's I'm holding two handfuls
straight
of
up
confetti,
insane.
And I'm just throwing them up in the air. And so that's why, ladies and gentlemen, nerds and neckbeards,
episode made me drink. Yep.
This bitter, sad Massacre Mule for you guys that love this show. I feel for you. I'm so sorry.
After that episode, this is definitely one true saying: all men must drink.
Everyone in the writer's room is fired.
A baby shit in your pants? What? Who wrote that line? No.
Someone get me. I left my coffee cup somewhere. Can someone find it?
Quick! I need my double mocha chocolate with 3 pumps of shitty writing and 1 sprinkle of dead dragon, please.
Oh God. I love you, bud. Till next time. 2 more episodes to go. I hope they get better. They can't get much worse.
I'm still recording. We're gonna air this shit. This is absolutely crap. Right. This is the behind the scenes bullshit. But yes,
anything you're looking forward to in the next episode? Since we are still running.
So disconnected from this episode. It's just like,
I'm trying to think of what would make me happy, right? Like, I think it's going to come down to a girl fight between Dany and Cersei, and I kind of hate that. I loved the friendship between Missandei and Dany. I mean, I'm not one to
pass up a good girl fight.
They're trying to force Dany into this Mad Queen bullshit, which will never sit right, because all she has to do to be tempered and to rule well and to get all the things is marry Jon. And then Jon gets redeemed in my eyes, and they have a dragon, and they can make a bunch of babies, and I don't know, maybe a dragon will lay eggs. It doesn't matter. None of this is going to happen.
I'm going to leave you with a question.
Please.
It's a question
Is it a Stump Tana question?
No, it's not a Stump Tana question. It's a ponder thought question that Lauren asked me yesterday, and I'm still kind of pondering and thinking about it.
Okay.
Do you think D&D forgot about the wildfire? And that's the only thing I want to think about for the next episode.
The wildfire that is buried under King's Landing? Or
Yes.
wildfire as a weapon in general?
Nope. All the caches all over King's Landing.
Something to think about.
On that note, Tana,
David,
I'm gonna finally close my recording on this terrible episode.
Ladies and gentlemen,
nerds and neckbeards.
Until the penultimate episode of Game of Thrones, this has been another fine recording with your friends, Dave and
Tana. Ooh, wait. Should you have said your name and I have said my name?
All men.
Does it make sense?
All men.
Must drink.
Must drink.